They didn't ask questions. They just blamed the janitor. The school day was ordinary. Too ordinary. Children laughed in the hallways. Lockers slammed. Teachers checked their watches, already tired, and it wasn't even noon. Then the intercom crackled. "This is a lockdown. Teachers, secure your classrooms immediately." The words didn't echo. They fell, like something heavy dropped into the building. Doors slammed shut. Lights flicked off. Blinds were pulled down with shaking hands. Inside classrooms, teachers whispered instructions they barely believed themselves. In the hallway, one man didn't know where to go. Samuel Reed stood frozen near the east wing, a mop in one hand, keys on his belt, a red emergency light blinking beside him. He had cleaned this hallway for 11 years, and now, for the first time, it felt like it didn't belong to him. From behind classroom doors, eyes peeked through narrow glass panels. Some curious, some afraid, some suspicious. Someone whispered his name. Wasn't he working here this morning? Fear had found a direction. Samuel was 56. A widower who never remarried. A grandfather who worked double shifts so his daughter wouldn't lose her apartment. He believed in rules, because rules kept chaos away. Two administrators approached him quickly. "Samuel," the vice principal said, "did you access the east door panel?" "No," Samuel replied. "I don't have clearance." "Were you working near it?" "Yes, like every morning." They exchanged a glance. That was enough. Minutes crawled. Children cried softly. Phones buzzed with half-truths. Rumors grew teeth. Samuel stayed exactly where he was told. Still. Silent. Waiting. After 42 minutes, the lockdown was lifted. Applause broke out in classrooms. Relief washed through the building. But Samuel felt none of it. Because now, someone had to explain why it happened. The door closed behind him. Principal, vice principal, district security officer. The air was heavy. "We need to understand what you did," the officer said. Samuel straightened. "I followed procedure." "Did you reset the system?" "No." "Did you override the alarm?" "No." The questions continued. The answers floated past unused. A form slid across the table. Administrative suspension. Pending. Investigation. Samuel stared at it. 11 years reduced to ink. He signed. Because he always did. Samuel walked past classrooms filled with laughter again. No one noticed the janitor holding his ID badge in his pocket. The building swallowed him whole. At home that night, Samuel sat alone in his kitchen. The silence was louder than the alarm. And somewhere in a server room, the truth waited quietly. One voice whispered, "I knew something was off." Another replied, "No one mentioned evidence. No one mentioned procedure." Fear had already chosen its story. That afternoon, a spill sat untouched near the east wing. A teacher noticed it. Normally, Samuel would have cleaned it before anyone saw it. She stared at the puddle longer than necessary. Something felt wrong. Samuel woke up early out of habit. 6:00 a.m., same as always. For a moment, he forgot. Then the silence reminded him. No keys on his belt. No route to follow. Just a suspension letter on the kitchen table. Samuel picked up his phone. His daughter's name glowed on the screen. He didn't call. She was already working 2 jobs. Already worried. Some things, Samuel believed, were better carried alone. At the district office, administrators met behind closed doors. The lockdown had triggered reports. Parents were asking questions. "We need a clean explanation," someone said. "The janitor accessed the wrong area," another replied. Language softened. Responsibility narrowed. Samuel Reed's name appeared more than it should have. Because once a name is typed into a document, it becomes harder to erase. Samuel walked past the school that evening, out of habit. Lights glowed inside. He stood across the street for a moment, unnoticed. Then he turned away. Saturday morning. Samuel picked up his granddaughter, Lily. "Why aren't you at school today?" she asked innocently. Samuel smiled. "I'm on a little break." She accepted that. Children often do. That night, Samuel couldn't sleep. Not because he was angry. Because he was confused. He replayed the morning again and again. The flicker. The red light. The timing. Somewhere in the system, something didn't add up. At the district IT office, Marcus Hale, a systems technician, logged into the security software. Routine audit. Nothing urgent. He scrolled through timestamps. Paused. Scrolled back. Marcus frowned. "That's strange," he muttered. The access log didn't match the incident report. But he said nothing yet. In systems work, you double-check before you speak. A second spill appeared in the hallway. A trash can overflowed. Teachers noticed. Maintenance was outsourced for the week. Efficiency dropped. People began to miss Samuel without realizing it. Emily emailed the district. Short, polite, requesting clarification on lockdown timeline and access logs. She received an automated response. Samuel folded laundry slowly, methodically, the way he did everything. He didn't rant, didn't complain, but something in his posture had changed, a quiet shrinking. The district finalized the initial findings, language like probable cause, words like maintenance oversight. No mention of logs, no mention of overrides. Marcus stayed late. Blamed once. Never corrected. Marcus saved the file. Sunday evening. Samuel fixed a loose hinge in his apartment hallway. Out of habit. Fixing things was how he made sense of the world. Broken things bothered him, including the truth. At the district office, the system logs sat quietly on a server. Unchanged. Undeniable. Waiting. Because systems don't forget. People do. Monday arrived with the same buses, the same bell, the same rushed footsteps in the hall. But something in the building felt tense. Not fear this time. Anticipation. Teachers had heard pieces of things. Parents had asked harder questions. And the spill in the East Wing still hadn't been cleaned right. Small details were beginning to add up into something uncomfortable. At the district IT office, Marcus Hale sat with the raw logs open on his monitor. He reread the timestamps. 7:13 a.m. Administrator override. 7:14 a.m. System sync failure. 7:15 a.m. Lockdown protocol triggered. He checked the badge list again. Samuel Reed, no badge activity. Marcus didn't need a fourth confirmation. He needed courage. He attached the file to an email. Subject line: Lockdown logs, raw data, urgent. Recipient: District Safety Director. Then he sat back, heart pounding like he'd done something illegal. He hadn't. He'd done something dangerous. The district safety director, strong Dr. Martin Keene, opened the message mid-meeting. He expected routine data. What he saw made him stop speaking. The room fell quiet. Someone asked, "What is it?" Keene didn't answer immediately. He zoomed in on the screen. The override code was tied to a name that didn't belong in a rumor. It wasn't Samuel's code. It belonged to Deputy Principal Karen Blythe, not the janitor, not maintenance, administration. Keene looked around the table slowly. "If this is accurate," he said carefully, "our report is wrong." No one moved, because wrong meant more than a mistake. It meant accountability. Karen Blythe was called in that afternoon. She sat with perfect posture, hands folded. "I didn't override anything," she said calmly. Keene turned the monitor toward her. "Your code did." Karen's expression shifted, only slightly. "That's impossible," she said. "My credentials are secure." Keene nodded. "Then we have two possibilities," he replied. "Someone used your credentials, or you did." Karen's jaw tightened. "That's outrageous," she said. But the room didn't react. Because the system had already reacted. The logs were not emotional. They were factual. Piece by piece, the truth formed. Karen had arrived early that day. She'd been under pressure from the district about security compliance. She intended to run a quick check. She used her override code near the east entrance. The keypad flickered, the same flicker Samuel had noticed. The system failed to sync. The protocol triggered automatically. A chain reaction. Karen hadn't meant to cause panic, but she had. And when panic happened, she let it roll downhill. To the easiest name. Samuel Reed. Keene leaned forward. "Why wasn't this reported immediately?" Karen's eyes flashed. "I didn't know," she said. Keene didn't raise his voice. "Then why was Samuel suspended?" Karen hesitated. "Just long enough." Keene wrote something down. That sound of pen on paper was louder than any accusation. Samuel Reed was at home, cleaning his small kitchen sink, when his phone rang. Unknown number. He answered cautiously. "Mr. Reed?" a man's voice asked. "This is Dr. Keene from the district." Samuel stood still. "Yes. Your suspension is being reversed," Keene said, "and I need to apologize." Samuel didn't speak at first. Not because he was angry, because the apology sounded unfamiliar. Keene asked Samuel to come in. Samuel put on his best shirt, the one he wore to funerals and parent nights. He looked at himself in the mirror. He didn't look triumphant. He looked tired. The meeting room at the district office was small and windowless. Keene sat across from Samuel. A folder lay on the table, thick. "Mr. Reed," Keene said, "the system logs show you did not access the east panel, and your badge was not used." Samuel nodded once, slowly. "I told them," he said quietly. Keene exhaled. "I know," he replied, "and we failed you." Samuel's hands rested on his knees. Still, controlled. "What happens now?" Samuel asked. Keene paused. "That depends," he said carefully, "on what you want." Samuel looked up. He hadn't expected that question. Samuel could demand a public apology. He could threaten legal action. He could call the local news. But Samuel wasn't built for spectacle. He was built for work. "I want my job back," he said, "and I want it written, officially, that I did nothing wrong." Keene nodded. "You'll have that," he said. Samuel hesitated. "And one more thing," Samuel added. Keene waited. "Don't let it happen to the next person," Samuel said, "because there will be a next person." Keene didn't speak for a moment. Then he nodded again, more seriously this time. The district updated the report. Samuel's file was cleared, the suspension wiped. A formal letter was generated, signed by the district, Stamped, dated. The story had a second part. Samuel returned on a rainy Tuesday. He arrived before sunrise like always. He unlocked the maintenance closet, smelled the familiar cleaning supplies. He stood still for a moment, letting the building settle around him again. He felt something strange. Not comfort, but strong dignity. Teachers passed him in the hallway. Some avoided him. Some stared too long. A few nodded, stiffly. Samuel didn't demand anything from them. He'd learned that shame makes people behave strangely. Emily Foster found Samuel near the stairwell. She looked nervous, like a student about to confess cheating. "I'm sorry," she said. Samuel looked up. "I didn't say anything," Emily continued. "Not when people blamed you. I didn't stop it fast enough." Samuel studied her for a moment. Then he said, "You asked questions." Emily blinked. "I heard," Samuel added. "That matters." Emily's shoulders dropped in relief. The school principal called Samuel in after lunch. He looked uncomfortable. "I want you to know," the principal said, "I'm sorry." Samuel nodded once. The principal swallowed. "We should have checked the logs immediately." Samuel didn't argue. He simply said, "Yes." That single word carried more truth than anger ever could. Later that day, as Samuel mopped near the cafeteria, a student walked up. A small boy with a shy smile. "Hi, Mr. Reed," he said. Samuel smiled back. "Hi, buddy." The boy looked at Samuel's mop. "My dad says you keep the school safe," the boy said. Samuel's throat tightened slightly. He didn't correct the child, because in a way it was true. Karen Blythe didn't lose her job immediately. Systems rarely move that fast, but she was removed from security oversight. Her access was restricted, her record updated. Not dramatic, but permanent. Marcus Hale returned to his desk to find a small envelope. Inside was a simple note. "Thank you for checking the truth. MK. No praise. No bonus. Just acknowledgement." Marcus folded it carefully. Sometimes, the reward for doing the right thing is knowing you did it. That weekend, Samuel picked up Lily again. She hugged him with the full force of a child who doesn't understand adult cruelty. "You're back at school," she said happily. Samuel smiled. "Yes," he replied. She looked up at him. "Are you in trouble?" Samuel knelt down. "No," he said gently. "I wasn't. People just got scared." Lily frowned. "That's not fair," she said. Samuel nodded. "No," he agreed. "It isn't." Sunday evening, Samuel stood by the east entrance. The keypad had been replaced. It glowed green. Stable. No flicker. Samuel placed his hand on the metal frame briefly, like a goodbye to the week that had almost taken his life apart. Then he locked it, clicked the handle twice, his habit, and walked away. Fear doesn't ask questions. It moves fast and points at the nearest name. But the truth doesn't need a voice to exist. It waits, recorded, logged. And when someone finally checks it, justice arrives, quietly.